Hey, what's going on? What's going on? Man, about to get some clothes, get ready for this Wilder fight, But anyways, Kambosos versus Devin Haney is coming on tonight, and a lot of people are just brushing Kambosos off. Like, people are acting as if, someone can't have a bad performance, but then be able to make adjustments and come back and even win, or make a lot better performance than they did before. And every single bout, every single fight is different. In the last fight, I had Devin Haney winning. I thought Devin Haney was going to win, but I thought Kambosos was going to come with a little more than what he did. He seemed like he was kind of big going into the fight. He was feeling himself. First time he had millions of dollars. All of a sudden he's a multi-millionaire, and he probably wasn't focused and wasn't doing the things that he needed to do in order to be completely ready for that fight and at his best. In the weigh-in, he looks super soft. Obviously he missed the weight, had to come back in order to make the weight. He just didn't look good. And in the bout, if he wasn't as active as he was in his previous fights against Teofimo Lopez. So it's just like, I didn't expect him to win, but I expected more out of him. I expected to see more movement. I expected to see more shots. I expected to see more agility. I didn't see any of that. He just looked like he couldn't throw, like he really couldn't do anything. And I think, me personally, I think that it had to do with his preparation. His preparation probably wasn't the best. This time around, though, he looks good. Like, he looked like he's been on point with the weight. And the weigh-in, go look at the weigh-ins, the previous weigh-in and this weigh-in. He looked a lot better. You can see the six-pack in there. He made the weight. He looks a lot healthier. He just looks good, in this particular fight. And Devin Haney, on the other hand, oh man, like, that boy was dry. Like, he was super dry. Like, he looked like, face looked emaciated. I don't know. As soon as he was done with the weigh-in, he went straight to the water. Went right to grab the water. First thing he did, before putting on his clothes, anything, he went and grabbed the water, made sure he put some fluids into his system. I think he's gonna be fine though. He's young. He seems to be a disciplined kid. He seems to be real focused when it comes to his craft. But he has to be careful because, if he's in there against the wrong, like if this was a Tank Davis he was facing tonight, he'd be in trouble. When you're cutting down like that, even if you're doing it in a disciplined way, you can start to have an issue with punch resistance. You might get clipped and all of a sudden you just laid out flat. So even in this particular fight, even though he's not facing somebody on the level of a Shakur Stevenson, let's say, even though he's not facing somebody on the level of a Gervonta Tank Davis, he needs to be careful. But on the other hand, he might be okay too, because I've seen people like Conor McGregor used to come in there looking like, I don't know, The Walking Dead. You know what I mean? And then he'd come out there and look spectacular come fight night. But back then, you were able to use IVs to rehydrate yourself. So that's what he used to do. As soon as you couldn't do that, he had to jump up a weight class. If you notice, all of a sudden all these UFC fighters had to jump up a weight class, and they couldn't make that weight class they were at anymore, because if they did, they wouldn't have been able to rehydrate back up, in the fashion that they used to. So I don't know. So all I'm gonna say is, like, he needs to be careful. He needs to be really, really, really careful. Be smart in there. Be intelligent. Do what you do. Box and move. Box and move. Don't try to push the issue. Don't try to be something that you're not. Because if he tries that and he gets clipped, people can say whatever they want to about this kid, Kambosos. We saw what he was able to do against Teofimo Lopez. People just completely forgot about that when he caught him. We saw what he was able to do. So because of that, Devin needs to be careful. He absolutely needs to be careful. And I still think he'll win, but I think we're going to see a different Kambosos. We're going to see a Kambosos I think is going to be a lot more agile. He's going to be throwing a whole lot more shots. It's going to be a lot more movement. And by doing that, he can win this fight. If they have the same type of judges as before, he can win this fight. I'm not saying that after that fight, we're going to be sitting there saying that, oh man, Kambosos won that bout. Now I'm saying that if he was a little more active, those judges would have gave him that fight. In those cards, that fight was a close fight in those cards. He could have won that fight if he had just exerted just a little more energy. So if he does that, it's a possibility that, that I wouldn't be shocked if Devin got robbed. I wouldn't be shocked at all. I wouldn't be shocked if he got robbed, and I wouldn't be shocked if he comes out and he does what I'm saying that I believe he's gonna be able to do, and if Devin has an off night, or if the weight cut affects him in any way, these are all like unknowns, so I'm just looking at all the unknowns. If that something of that nature happens, he could be in trouble. But to just write him off and brush him off, I think that's off base. I don't necessarily think people should do that. Like, I don't think people should necessarily do that. Even somebody like Anthony Joshua, his first fight against Andy Ruiz, then the second fight against Andy Ruiz, different fights, completely different fights. So you just gotta, I don't know. It just being in boxing, for as long as I've been in boxing, seeing all these different crazy events happen, I just know to always expect the unexpected. You have to always expect the unexpected. And that one fight where you think this is gonna be easy, it's gonna be smooth, sometimes it ends up not being that. But all that to the side, I'm still picking Devin Haney to win this fight. I think it's just too talented. He's too skilled for Kambosos. But I'm just saying, don't just necessarily just completely write this kid off. Kambosos, regardless of what happened in the last fight. I'm looking at the condition of the fighters, what I thought before the last fight, and I'm looking at the conditions of the both fighters today, and I'm like, Kambosos looks a lot better, and I expect him to put out there a much, much better performance. When I hear people talking about, oh, he's scared of Devin, look how he's looking at Devin, he's looking away from Devin, he's being quiet, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he made an adjustment. He made a change in his preparation. He said, okay, all this talking, all this stuff, all this putting out all this energy, it didn't work out for me. So that didn't work out for me. Let me make an adjustment. Let me make a change. That doesn't make you weak in any way. That doesn't mean you're afraid. That doesn't mean that you've somehow taken somebody's soul or somebody's spirit. No, they just understand something. They realize, something did not work for them. Like, some people can play ball and talk all types of trash and still ball. Other people can't. They stay quiet and they ball. They look incredible. They start yapping their mouths. They stop playing good. Everybody's different. Sometimes people try something new and like, that didn't work out. Let me go back to what I used to do. So that might just be basically what he's doing. Yeah, obviously he fired certain coaches. I'm not sure what that that could be about. Maybe it was because he felt they were being more like yes men and they weren't on point with his preparation or whatever it is. He made the adjustments. He made changes. And sometimes that's good. Tyson Fury made changes before the Deontay Wilder fights when it came to coaches. Put different people in his camp. We saw it worked out for him. We saw it worked out for him. Even Anthony Joshua with the Usyk fight. The second fight, he had that boy on his, he could have knocked him out. He had him hurt. He should have been able to finish him. But he had a lot better, even though he lost, he had a lot better performance, I believe, in the second fight than he did in his first fight. Even in the loss. So the question is going to be, is this going to be like that type of fight with Kambosos where he has a much better performance than last time, a respectable performance, but he still takes a loss? Is he a situation where he's a lot more active, and he gets to nod from the judges where people are like, oh man, that boy got robbed? Does Devin Haney get tired in this fight? Has he bit at the 135 apple one too many times? And gets clipped with something and just gets put out because of his punch resistance is off due to the fact that he's at a weight that he shouldn't be at anymore. I mean, it depends. Or because was it something to do with his preparation for this particular fight? Was he a little bit heavier than he's supposed to be? And then obviously coming down, he ended up having struggles. I don't know. There's sometimes a lot of things that you don't know. But for now, I'm going to stick to for what I do know, and I'm going to pick Devin Haney to win this fight. Comfortable decision, like 8-4, even 7-5. I wouldn't be surprised even at a 7-5, but I'm gonna say 8-4. I'm gonna say a good 8-4 win. But I won't be surprised, shocked, if Kambosos comes out here and actually surprises people, just with all the different elements of the weights and things like that, and preparations from last fight to this fight. And I never count out anybody. That's one thing I never do. People are brushing off Isaac Cruz and what the performance he'd be able to do. People are brushing off Andy Ruiz and the performance he would be able to do against, Anthony Joshua. I didn't necessarily do that. I always say you never know. Even with the PBC fighters, you'll see this top tier fighter and it's unknown to come in there. And I always say, even with the Colbert fight, when he lost, I'm like, especially on PBC, you got people coming up to fight you unknown. You better be careful because they're fighters for real, for real. They're not sitting at Rite Aid working at Stop and Shop or some other area for weeks. And all of a sudden they get a call and they got to make weight in 2 weeks. No, like PBC has a lot of cards that are not on television, that are not televised. A lot of people don't realize that. So it'll be a guy that's supposed to be fighting on a non-televised card in 2 days. You know what I'm saying? 2-3 days. So when they call him, no, he's ready because he's already cutting. He's already been at the gym. He's already been working. And those guys are still getting paid good. So they don't have to have regular jobs. They're able to just train and be on point when it comes to their profession. So they come in there and they shock you. You thinking it's a quote late, man, ain't no late performance. It's a top tier fighter that people just don't know about. You might not necessarily know about, and he comes in there and beats your tail. So you never know in boxing. I've seen these type of stories too much. But I'm still picking Devin Haney to win this fight. Like, subscribe, share. I'm out.